Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the studio. You're tuning in to Episode 7 of Module 4 of the Blueprint for Effortless English. I'm your co-host, Ben.
And I'm Anna. Welcome back, everyone. We're officially in the final stretch of our real-world architecture module, and you guys are completely transforming your professional communication skills.
You really are. Over the first 6 episodes, we taught you how to survive executive meetings, how to persuade your boss, and how to negotiate like a true professional. In our last episode, we even taught you how to master the water cooler and socialize with your coworkers in the break room.
You've learned how to read the room and manage the energy of the people sitting directly across the table from you. But the modern corporate world has changed dramatically over the last few years. The reality is, you probably don't spend all day sitting across a physical table from your team.
Exactly. A massive percentage of high-level business is now conducted remotely. You're dealing with global teams, hybrid schedules, and clients halfway across the world, which means you have to conduct all of this sophisticated corporate diplomacy through a screen or a headset.
Today, we're tackling the unique challenges of remote communication. Welcome to Episode 7, Telephone and Video Call Etiquette.
Before we dive into the specific phrases you need to survive laggy Zoom calls and awkward phone introductions, we have our usual quick favor to ask. If you're finding value in this 50-episode journey and want to support the channel, please hit that like button and subscribe to the English Chatcast.
Your support helps us reach thousands of other professionals who are trying to build their confidence in English. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Let's get right into the lesson.
Let's talk about why video calls and phone calls are so incredibly stressful for English learners, Anna. It really comes down to the loss of physical context.
It absolutely does. When you are speaking a second language, you rely heavily on body language, facial expressions, and physical energy to understand what the other person is saying. You read their gestures to know when it is your turn to speak.
But when you jump on a video call, half of that body language is cut off by the camera frame. And if you're on a traditional phone call, you lose visual context entirely. You're left with nothing but the raw audio, and usually the audio quality isn't even that great.
Add in the internet lag, the technical glitches, and the weird, awkward silences, and you have a recipe for total conversational panic. People end up talking over each other, apologizing constantly, and sounding incredibly unnatural.
Today, we're going to fix that. We're going to give you the exact scripts native speakers use to take control of virtual meetings and phone calls. We're breaking this down into 4 pillars.
Pillar number 1 is managing the virtual waiting room. Pillar number 2 is handling technical difficulties like a pro. Pillar number 3 is the virtual interruption. And pillar number 4 is traditional telephone etiquette.
Let's start with pillar number 1, managing the virtual waiting room. This is the first 3 to 5 minutes of any video call, and it is universally recognized as the most awkward part of the modern workday.
You click the meeting link, your camera turns on, and there are just 2 other people staring at you in silence while you wait for the manager to join. You have to make small talk, but you can't start talking about deep business strategy yet because the whole team isn't there.
The biggest mistake you can make here is just sitting in complete silence and staring at your own video feed. It makes you look disengaged. You have to fill the space with light, casual water cooler talk, exactly like we taught you in Episode 6.
Hey Ben, how's your week going so far? Or, if it's a Friday, any big plans for the weekend? Keep it simple and positive.
But the real skill comes when you are the host of the meeting. As the host, you are the director of the virtual room. You have to acknowledge people as they enter, and you have to officially transition the room from casual small talk into formal business.
When a new person pops onto the screen, you don't stop the conversation completely, but you do throw them a quick verbal wave. You say, "Hey Sarah, welcome in. We're just talking about our weekend plans."
Welcome in. It's a great phrase. It makes the digital space feel like a physical room. Then, when it's time to actually start the meeting, you have to cut off the small talk, firmly but politely.
The absolute best phrase for this is, well, it looks like we have critical mass, so let's go ahead and dive in.
Critical mass is a phenomenal corporate idiom. In physics, it means the minimum amount of material needed to start a reaction. In a meeting, it just means we have enough important people here to begin. It sounds incredibly professional.
Another great transition phrase is, all right, everyone, to respect everyone's time, let's get the ball rolling. We talked about getting the ball rolling in episode 1, and it's the perfect idiom to kick off a video call.
We're still waiting on John, but let's go ahead and get started, and he can catch up when he jumps on. Catch up and jumps on are both excellent natural phrasal verbs for this context.
Now let's move to pillar number 2, handling technical difficulties. No matter how prepared you are, the internet is going to fail, microphones are going to break, and screens are going to freeze.
When someone else is having a technical issue, you have to tell them politely. You can't just shout, "Your microphone is broken." That sounds aggressive.
You blame the technology, not the person. If they are talking but their microphone is muted, you say, "Hey Ben, I think you might be on mute."
Notice she didn't say, "You forgot to unmute yourself." She said, "I think you might be on mute." It's gentle and helpful. If their audio is breaking up and sounds like a robot, you use the phrase cutting out.
You say, "Sorry to interrupt, but your audio is cutting out a bit on our end. We missed that last sentence."
Cutting out means the sound is dropping in and out. And notice Anna said, "on our end." This is a crucial phrase for video calls. You don't say, "Your internet is bad." You say, "We're having trouble hearing you on our end." It softens the blame perfectly.
What if their screen completely freezes? You say, "It looks like your video might be frozen. You might want to try turning your camera off and back on to save bandwidth." Bandwidth is the standard corporate term for internet speed and capacity.
But what if you are the one having technical problems? What if you need to share your screen, but the presentation won't load? You have to narrate your actions so people don't think you just walked away from the computer.
Bear with me for just a second. My computer is being a little slow today. Bear with me is the ultimate professional phrase for asking people to be patient. It means, please wait for me while I fix this.
When you finally get the presentation on the screen, you always do a visual check before you start talking. You say, "Can everyone see my screen all right?" Never assume they can see it. Always ask for verbal confirmation.
Which brings us to pillar number 3, the virtual interruption. This is the absolute hardest part of remote communication. Because of internet lag, there is a 1 or 2 second delay between when you speak and when they hear you.
And that delay destroys the natural rhythm of conversation. In person, you can use the double tap technique we taught you in Module 3. You can just lean forward and say, "Can I just jump in here?"
But on Zoom, if you just start talking, you end up talking over the other person, then you both stop, then you both say sorry, then you both start talking again at the exact same time. It's a nightmare. We call it the conversational collision.
To avoid the collision, you have to use the visual hand raise combined with a lag-proof interruption phrase. First, you physically put your hand up into the camera frame. This gives everyone a visual cue that you want to speak.
Then you use a firm, clear phrase that cuts through the audio delay. You say, "Sorry, just to piggyback on that point for a second."
Piggyback is an incredible corporate idiom. It means to build upon an idea that someone else just mentioned. By saying you want to piggyback on their point, you're flattering them while stealing the microphone.
But what happens when you do collide? What happens when you and a coworker start speaking at the exact same millisecond? You have to navigate the collision gracefully.
The rule of thumb in native business culture is to immediately yield the floor the first time you collide. You stop talking, smile, and say, "Sorry, go ahead."
Or you say, "My apologies, you were saying?" This shows extreme professional courtesy. However, if they also stop and tell you to go ahead, you do not play the "no, you go ahead" game all day.
Exactly. You yield the floor once. If they give it back to you, you take it immediately to save time. You say, "Thanks, I was just going to add that the timeline looks a bit tight." You take command and keep the meeting moving forward.
Let's move to our final pillar today, pillar number 4, traditional telephone etiquette. Video calls are the standard for internal team meetings, but when you're dealing with external clients or vendors, you still have to use the actual phone.
And answering a business phone call requires a completely different script than answering a personal call. You can't just pick up the phone and say hello. That sounds incredibly unprofessional.
You have to identify yourself and your department immediately. If you have a direct line, you answer the phone by stating your name. You pick it up and say, "Ben speaking," or "This is Anna."
Ben speaking is the absolute standard. It's short, sharp, and confident. If you are answering a general department line, you identify the department first. You say, "Marketing department, this is Ben. How can I help you?"
Let's say the caller asks to speak to your manager, Sarah, but Sarah is in a meeting. You cannot say, "Sarah is busy." Busy sounds dismissive.
"I'm afraid Sarah is away from her desk at the moment. Can I take a message, or would you like her voicemail?" Away from her desk is the universal polite phrase for "she is not available to talk to you right now."
If you take a message, you have to confirm the details. You say, "Let me just read that back to you to make sure I have it correct." This shows the caller that you are diligent and taking their request seriously.
Getting off the phone is also a specific skill. You can't just say, "Okay, bye," and hang up. You have to transition out of the call smoothly, just like you transition out of a water cooler conversation.
All right, Ben. Well, I won't keep you any longer. I'll shoot you an email with those details this afternoon.
I won't keep you any longer. It's the telephone equivalent of, "I will let you get back to your day." You're pretending that you are ending the call to save their valuable time. It's a brilliant piece of corporate diplomacy.
Let's put all of these remote communication tools into action. Ben and I are going to simulate a slightly messy video meeting.
I'm going to play the meeting host, and Anna is going to be my coworker. We're going to start in the awkward waiting room phase, navigate a technical issue, and then Anna is going to use a virtual interruption to make a point.
Listen to how we use the specific phrases to keep the meeting flowing despite the digital friction. Here we go. Step into the virtual room.
"Hey, Anna, welcome in. How is your Tuesday going so far?"
Hey, Ben. It's going pretty well, just trying to wrap up the monthly reporting before lunch. How about you?
Same here, just buried in spreadsheets. Well, it looks like we have critical mass with the rest of the team logging on, so to respect everyone's time, let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to share the quarterly projections deck. Bear with me for just a second.
Sounds good.
Okay, can everyone see my screen all right?
Yes, we can see the title slide.
Perfect. So looking at the third quarter data, if we push the software launch to October, we capture the entire holiday purchasing demographic. Therefore, my proposal is that we finalize all beta testing by the end of August.
Sorry, Ben, your audio is cutting out a bit on our end. Could you repeat that last timeline?
Oh, my apologies. I was saying we need to finalize beta testing by the end of August to hit the October window.
Sorry, just to piggyback on that point for a second, if we push the timeline to August, we are going to run into a major bottleneck with the engineering team.
Sorry, go ahead, Ada.
Oh, no, you were saying?
No, please, jump in.
Thanks. I was just going to add that the engineers are already booked for the server migration in August, so we might need to look at an early September testing window instead.
That's a great point. Let's circle back to the engineering schedule after we finish this slide.
And scene. That was a masterclass in virtual survival.
It really was. We handled the small talk perfectly. I transitioned us into the meeting by saying we had critical mass and let's dive in. I used the phrase, "bear with me," while I shared my screen, and I checked to make sure you could see it.
When his audio dropped, I didn't yell at him. I said, "Your audio is cutting out on our end." And when I needed to interrupt, I used the visual hand raise and the phrase, just to piggyback on that point.
We had a minor collision, but we navigated it using the yield and accept rule. Anna said, "Sorry, go ahead." I told her to jump in, and she immediately took the floor with, "Thanks, I was just going to add." It kept the momentum completely alive.
When you have these phrases ready to go, a virtual call stops feeling like a terrifying obstacle course. You can actually focus on the business strategy instead of worrying about when to unmute your microphone.
Which brings us to your mission for episode 7. It's time for you to take control of your virtual environment.
Your homework for this week is the Virtual Opener Challenge. We want you to practice transitioning a meeting from casual small talk into formal business.
When you're hosting a virtual meeting, in order to transition a video call from the initial small talk to the official start of your presentation, you need to use a phrase like critical mass, get the ball rolling, or respect everyone's time. Then smoothly transition into sharing your screen using the phrase, "bear with me."
Come down into the comments section of this episode and type out your exact hosting script. How are you going to take command of that virtual room? We will be reading through and highlighting the most professional responses.
You guys are absolutely crushing this module. You have conquered the boardroom, the break room, and now the virtual meeting room. Your spoken corporate English is becoming incredibly polished.
But what happens when you aren't speaking at all? What happens when you have to type out these complex negotiations and delicate feedback sessions into an email?
Written corporate English is an entirely different beast. Without vocal tone, a polite sentence can easily sound aggressive and rude on the screen. And that is exactly what we are covering in our next episode.
In episode 8, we are diving into email versus spoken tone. We are going to teach you how to write professional emails that get results without offending anyone, how to use softening words in text, and how to decode the hidden meanings behind common corporate email phrases.
It is an essential survival skill for the modern office, and you definitely will not want to miss it.
But for today, focus on mastering the lag, guide the virtual waiting room, blame the technology when things break, piggyback on ideas, and answer that phone with total confidence.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Anna. If you are ready to dominate your next video call, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's keep building this professional edge together. Until next time, keep practicing, keep listening, and remember, learning English with us is
a piece of cake. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next time on the English Chatcast.